What up, guys? We're back with another trade recap video. On today's video, we're recapping the trade I took today and lost about 540, something like that, a little over 1%. So let's get it in today's price section. So coming in today, the price was very bullish. We're heading towards these highs. The price was around here that time, maybe lower. On 4 hour, let me get this. On 4 hour, we were about here at that time. I just can't skip this candle. But yeah, we had this 4 hour that we were in, and on 1 hour, same, just pretty good. Pretty great, good. We're heading towards this again for this liquidity inside here because we had not much of a reaction of this 1 hour gap, and yeah, we also had this gap in here, these gaps, low gaps in here. On 15 minutes, if you look at it, not much. 5 minutes, yes, we do have this gap and we might be bouncing it off. And so overall, we were pretty bullish today, very bullish, more like. And I was saying to myself, okay, if we can go lower, we can sweep this liquidity inside this hourly. It's an hourly gap in here. Then we can take some longs. But if we do decide going higher, sweeping this again, maybe going a little higher and going for this, then we can take some clean shots. And but what happened was price was very choppy today, and at the first around 30 minutes it was just straight up chopping around. So let me skip this so we can do this faster. All right. So we open up. So we did open up higher. We swept this liquidity. We didn't make it to this liquidity on 5 minutes. We at that time bounced off this. No, not this gap, my bad. This gap, this 15-minute, no, this 5-minute gap. While I'm serving like that. And then we had a strong move to the downside. Great shots, right? Well, actually, it's just straight chop. Is it? Yeah, we just started chopping around. We start chopping around. We start chopping around. But we slowly head towards, we finally have some, move to the downside. And, we have some moves. What we do, we form this 3-minute gap, but we failed to take it out multiple times. Now at that time, when we form this 3-minute gap, we can mark it out. When we form this 3-minute gap, at that time, I was thinking, okay, if we can get a clean inversion, we can take them longs to all this liquidity. But we failed to do that, and we went lower. And then we formed this 5-minute gap. Let's let the 5-minute close. We formed this 5-minute gap. And I was thinking, okay, nice. If we can invest this, then we can take them long still. All we decided to do is chop around and not invest it. No, you're taking over inverse. Nope, this candle didn't invest. This candle didn't invest because we're going to see a pullback. And it went lower. If you see, we respected this gap that I marked out. So that was for me a saying, okay, nice, we're respecting this gap. We have been delivering this whole session lower. At this point, we can take continuation lower because it doesn't look like we can go. No, we're going to go higher. Yes, a one thing for me was we could have expected to sweep this liquidity. If we swept this liquidity, then the shorts would have looked way, way much better. But we didn't. We swept only this point of liquidity. But one thing we did, we formed a clean. You're going to see we formed a clean 4-minute rejection block. How you see we formed a nice 5-minute rejection block and we invest this 5-minute gap. So we formed a clean 5-minute rejection block. We invest this 5-minute gap. We had a nice retrace to the upside. We are bouncing off this 5-minute gap that we're respecting. Overall, pretty high confidence trade. How I said, yes, our bias was bullish. That could have been, a sign maybe not to take this trade, but overall, the price was delivering the whole day lower. So I was thinking, okay, yes, we are inside an hourly gap or 4-hour gap, so that was a red flag. But at the same time, we're delivering so much lower. No, at that time I was thinking, okay, we can catch these shots. But what ended up happening, we got stopped out. So let me show y'all the stop out. After this, we had some great delivery, but then we ended up going higher, and suddenly, boom, we got stopped out with this candle in like 20 seconds. So, no, at that time, I was like, okay, what the fuck just happened? Why did I get stopped out? Well, first, we could say we formed this 1-minute rejection block. Also, it's like we could say it's not a rejection block trader, but those who are, it kind of is a rejection block, I think. But no, one thing I want to say is we could have gotten a nice trade. Let's say we entered somewhere here. We didn't enter at here, but we entered in here at the like rebalance to the upside because our stop loss was at the body of this candle. So let's say we entered here, the 1-to-1 would have been hit perfectly. Boom. Let's say we entered higher, we could have gotten a much better RR or much safer trade. So it's just, yes, for me it wasn't a successful trade, but also was a little unlucky. It wasn't a plus setup, but also it was a little unlucky trade because if I waited a little longer and entered somewhere here, I would have gotten 100% trade. Just yeah, I don't know. I just didn't think it would retrace so high that I entered in the fast, like not the fast, but like pretty fast in the pullback. And that's what happened. And why did I risk the 550, not just 500? It's just I accidentally over risked and I went in with low. It was like if I went in with 1 micro less, I would have gotten around for high end. But if I went with one more, it was over. No, I accidentally typed one more, and no, I got in the trade with a little more than 1%. So why I think this trade didn't play out is the biggest mistake we traded against our daily bias. The second biggest mistake is, wait, the second biggest mistake at that time, yes, we are delivering lower, right? But we are inside a 1 hour gap. And I didn't notice it. And we're also inside a 4 hour gap. And if you know me as a trader, in these backtesting sessions, I have proved that I hate trading against high time frame gaps. And no, I just didn't think about this one detail at the moment of taking this trade because we were delivering all day lower, and I guess my patience failed because all this time when we were delivering lower and chopping around, I was still waiting. I was waiting every single time. I was thinking, come on, give us an entry to the upside, and yeah. We got the entry to the upside. Right, why is it not skipping? So we got an entry to the upside really late into this session. Um, the this was the invest we could have taken a is this a close? So we could have taken off this 3 minute inversion to the upside, or we could have waited for this 4 minute. It's just really late into this session. Around hour into the session, we only finally got the trades to take, but it's just something to keep in your mind because yeah, it is what it is. I'm not angry at this trade. It's just was pretty unexpected stop out because in my opinion it wasn't a bad trade. It wasn't obviously an A plus, but it wasn't a bad trade because it was pretty high confidence. We're bouncing off this 5 minute, we're investing this 5 minutes. We have a nice pullback and then we have nice delivery to the downside. We swept some of this liquidity. Yes, we didn't sweep all of it. If we swept all of it, I'm pretty sure we would probably hit the take profit. But no, it is what it is. So this week hasn't been the best because in the Monday we traded. I don't call this trade a bad trade. I think this trade is, it wasn't bad. It was a nice trade. I'm not even angry about his loss, but no, I'm not happy about Monday's loss because Monday's loss was very stupid loss. And if we didn't lose the Monday's trade, we would have been still in green this week, but because of losing the Monday's trade right now, we're around 0.4%, 0.5% in red this week. We're around in two to 300 in red. But no, it's not bad. I think it's calm, not nothing crazy. Tomorrow is FOMC, so I can't promise y'all that I'm going to trade. If the FOMC is late in the market, somewhere like 9 p.m. or something like that, we can trade. But also if it's just close to my trading session, but it didn't do anything, didn't impact strongly the market, we can still trade. But if it's going to be a strong impact FOMC, we're definitely not trading. And this is a trade recap. Sorry for how late it is. I had a lot of different things to do. And yeah, I'm going to do a backtesting session today, probably a psychology session for my series video. And Yeah, God bless y'all. Stay safe, stay locked in. Remember, Jesus loves you. He loves everyone else as well. And yeah, stay locked in, stay safe, stay blessed. Don't you ever think about giving up. And peace out, G's. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow.